Let's go ahead and create a user on Tutorials Point or Coding Ground. They're really the same thing. Go to www.tutorialspoint.com, and from here we can create a user by clicking on Login. Now forget what I have in here for the user ID. Click on Sign Up on the bottom, and we'll pretend like I'm just signing up a new user, being me. I'm going to put in my first name, my last name, my email. I'm going to check that I'm human. Of course I am. And then I have to go through the CAPTCHA. In this case, it's asking me to pick the sunflowers. I'm sure yours will be just as interesting as mine here. So I'm going to go through all the CAPTCHA, make sure I'm okay, I'm good, and then I'm going to click on Sign Up. Now, as soon as I click on Sign Up, I'm going to have to go to my email to get that one-time password or the OTP. So I just did that on the other computer of mine. So I'm just going to enter my OTP now that was sent in my email. And then at this point, all I need to do is validate the OTP. Good. Now I have to set my permanent password, and I'm going to do that. It's going to ask me for my password and to re-enter my password. I will do both. And at that point, I'll click on Save, and this should save my new password. So effectively, I'm done. I created a new account that I can use in Tutorials Point Coding Ground. So what you can do now is you could just go into Coding Ground, as you see here by my cursor, and we could just log in, and we could start using any of those coding IDEs. So here, I'll click on Login, and from Login, I'm going to type in the user ID password that I just created. Now the interface looks a little bit different, but don't panic. I'm going to put in my user ID, which is my email, and I'm going to put in the password that I just set, and I'll click on Login, and everything should be just fine. So let me click on Login to get into my IDE. Now it's going to default here to my Java my Java IDE. Yours might be different, but at least it gets us in. Let me lead you through really quickly how to create a project and how to save it. Let me go to execute just to show you the code that was written here for us. Now this is the default code that they give us, or Coding Ground gives us. So let me just show you how to save this as a project, because you're going to want to get back into Coding Ground, today or tomorrow, whatever, and work on a project. So your step here is to save it. So go to Project, and then Save Project, and then you should get a message after you save the project that your project's been saved. Now notice you didn't get to name it. You don't name it, Coding Ground does. So if you want to look at your projects, navigate to Settings or to your name or your user ID, go to My Projects, and you'll see the projects that have been created. Now, I'd close that really quickly. In this case, you just have that one, but you can go over those steps as well. I'll do it again. See My Projects, and it shows the projects that you have. I only have one. It's the one I just created. Now, from here, you could click on Open, and you can open your project. You can save it, all that other good stuff. I know I went quickly through this, but I'm just trying to give you the step-by-step approach on doing this and not have any fluff. So hopefully, you realize that, and you can kind of pause the video as you need to. Anyway, so in this step, I showed you how to create a Coding Ground / Tutorial Points user and how to create and save a project. Thank you. In this video, we're going to use Coding Ground to write a Java program that's going to take input from the user. And we're going to quickly go through this. I'm going to try to give you the condensed version just to get through it quickly. Now remember, in your Java program, you have your class, which you have as hello world. Then you have your method, your main method, and then you have the code in your main method. So basically everything in your main method is what gets fired. Now, I'm just showing you, again, the blocks here to show you that you have your class block and your main block. Don't worry about specifics right now. I'm just trying to get you used to compiling a program in Java quickly and getting the input in from the user and basically input into a program. So as you see here, we got a really simple program called Hello World. Now, when we execute that program, we should be able to just click on execute, and then we should see on the right hand side in the terminal, you should be able to see Hello World. Now, I might have to refresh my browser because, as some of you noticed, if you leave your browser kind of hanging there and your connection, the internet just falters, or maybe you connect to a different network, you might have some problems with that. So let me give this a shot. If not, what I'll do is I'm just going to quickly refresh and see if I can get it working that way. But if you're running into that problem, all you need to do is just do a reload and make sure that you got your connection to the internet working as you should. At this point, I'm just going to click on execute again, and all should be right with the world. That's a problem that some of you have been having with this. So anyway, when I execute, you see in the terminal, hello world. And that's to be expected, because that's what we're doing here is we're just executing the program, and line 5 gets executed. Remember, everything for now in your Java career, everything in your main block gets executed. So again, we have our class file, and it just shows our, like on line 2 and line 7, that is our class block. And in line 4 through 6 is our main block, or basically our executable code. Don't worry about the specifics, said that 10 times fast, of that right now. Just know that we got our Java program, which is hello world, and we have the main method, which is the executable part of that. So when we execute, we see everything in the terminal window on the right, and everything in that main method on line 4 gets executed. So just to show you again, everything works perfectly. Now again, we're going quickly through this because I'm assuming that you can stop if you like, and actually do this rather than listen to me drone on and on. So I'm going to change this to let's see, hello whoever you are, and execute it. And not surprisingly, you see hello whoever you are. Maybe put a period there, exclamation point, question mark, doesn't really matter. Okay, and again, if you're following along with me, all you need to do is just stop the video, and that way, you can stop and do this by yourself. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this program to do two things. To get input from the user, like we're going to ask you what your name is. We're going to supply that to the program, and then we're just going to print it out. Now, to do that, we need an import statement. Now, import statements are pretty important because all as I say is we need to use something that's not part of the main language. There's a lot to be talked about later on import statements. Right now, just know that we use import statements to use things that are not necessarily part of the language, and we need to say, hey, rather than using the standard part of the language, we need to use something else. So what we're doing here is we're going to declare a variable on line 7 called lsName, and it's a string. LS just stands for local string. String just meaning it's not anything we do arithmetic with. More on variables as we go. Again, it's a whole different topic. The goal here is just to get you guys to quickly get a Java program running, get some confidence going, and then we'll go from there. So I know we're going quickly through this. Don't worry about it. The purpose here is just to get a program working with input from the user, and then over the next couple weeks we're going to slow this down a little bit. So on line 9, what we're doing is we're just going to get in, we're going to print out what the user just typed in. So on line 8, we're just saying here that we're going to assign the scanner, or basically get input from the terminal, which is system in. So lots going on here. So rather than to bore you on specifically what's happening, like I said, I'm just trying to get you like a happy path into actually getting us to work. And then we slow it down. But let's get it to work first. So on line 9, I'm going to say, please enter your name, or yo name. I'll go back and I'll fix that. So please enter your name, right? We'll fix that in a second. So then what we're going to say is the name, which is what we declared on line 7, is equal to what we're going to enter in the terminal. So we're going to say scan next line, which means that we're getting something from the terminal. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to just output it. Just say, hey, welcome whatever name you are that you put in the terminal. And we're going to run this in a second. So I'm just going to put in system.outPrintln and say welcome, and then whatever your name is. So we'll put in welcome and we'll append ls name. Now that should be all we need to do. Again, just to print out something at the terminal, get the name from the terminal, which you're going to type in, and just echo it back out to the terminal. Again, a lot happening here, but we're going to slow this down in subsequent lectures. I just want you guys to get a Java program compiled and run. So I run this. It says, please enter your name. Underneath it, I just put in my name, Bob. I'm going to hit enter, and then you see, hopefully, once I hit enter, you're going to see welcome, Bob. So this works as expected. So let me make a change here. Rather than you name, we'll put in your name, and then we'll execute, and you should see the changes. Hello, whoever you are, please enter your name. And I'm just going to put in my full name here, Bob Hendry. I'm going to click on enter, my enter key on my keyboard, and we should see welcome, Bob Hendry. So this works a lot better than using standard in, and it's a nice convenient way that we could use the terminal to input information. Now, what we're going to go over from here in the next lecture is we're going to slow this down a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about the import statement, a little bit more about the main method, a little bit more about declaring variables, and a little bit more about the scanner and like in line 10, taking some input and assigning it to a variable. Each one of these lines in this program is really a lecture in its own right. So please remember, this just was the happy path here, just to kind of show you how to get something up and going, just to kind of get you some experience and to develop some discussion points. And that's what we're doing here. So all you need to do for assignment 1 is to, or in any assignment that you're using to get the input, is use the following code example to get your program up and going. So just to review, in this short lecture, I showed you how to write a simple Java program to get input from the user and then echo that input user out to the terminal. Thank you.